Welcome
to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 147 of The Joy of Coding. My name's Mike Conley. We're starting a little bit late today. I apologize for that for the people who are watching the live stream. Things just got a little disorganized, but I'm here now, and sorry for the lateness. Let's get into it. Here's my screen. Today is August 15th, 2018, episode 147. A reminder, no plan survives breakfast. This stream, like, as you can tell from the fact that I'm starting late, some things don't go according to plan. That's okay. I want to be capturing software development in the raw. So none of the things I'm going to be doing today are pre-planned or pre-rehearsed or scripted or anything, which means that I might be working on bugs and I might get stuck and I might not have the answer, or I might get sidetracked, or we might bail out. Who knows? But there is no plan, really. Well, there's kind of a vague plan. I guess that's the next step. What you're looking at is kind of the vague plan. It's called the agenda, and this is a thing that you can have access to. If you are watching this on Air Mozilla 2, the new Air Mozilla, it's in the handout section, which should be on, I think, this side of the screen by default. And if you're watching this on Air Mozilla 1, which I don't think should be around anymore, but just in case, it's in the additional links section down below. And if you're watching this on YouTube, check out the video description. And if you're watching this on Twitch, you Twitch people, I'm about to share the link with you in the Twitch chat. So here it is, the agenda in the Twitch chat. There you go. And so this agenda, what's going on? Well, first of all, I want to once again highlight the fact that we have an episode guide. This is a completely viewer-driven episode guide. I don't really write much, but other people do, and if you click on the link in the agenda, you can find it. And the episode guide has pretty much all of the episodes. I think it actually has 146 as well, but I forgot to add it to the list. Let's actually do that right now. But each of these episode guides kind of have a They lay out what I do, and sometimes they have links for things that I cover, maybe some of the bugs I covered. And if you have your own notes, maybe things that you want to, maybe I made a mistake, or you want to expand on some acronym that I used, you don't know what it means, or other people know what it means, or you know what it means and other people might not, and you want to include it, go ahead and send me a pull request. And if you're not sure how to do that, there is a link in the agenda on pull requests, a link to the repository, and a guide for creating pull requests. And all of these episode guides are because of pull requests from viewers just like you. So thank you very much. I'm going to actually take the opportunity now to edit the README to include the most recent episode, not including this one, but the most recent guide actually that was added but not included in the index. So I'm just going to do that. Add episode 146 to the index, and then commit directly to master. And then if we go back to the episode guide, we should reload the page, and maybe it'll take a second to update. Give it a second. Man, well, when it does update, eventually it will point to here. I assume it will. I did that right? 146 should point, to this stuff. And this is the episode guide for last week. Anyways, all that's to say about the episode guide. That's all I want to say about it. If that's a thing that interests you, please, I do encourage you to contribute. So what are we doing today? What is going on today? Well, first of all, I want to make sure everything is working. Am I recording? Yes, you can hear me. Yes. Fantastic. So a couple weeks ago, I noticed a really strange bug. It was in episode 145, I believe, where I first picked it up, where I did this thing where I dragged a window or a tab from one window to another window to test a thing, and I noticed there was something really strange. I'll see if I can recreate the issue. If I can't, then I can't. But basically, there was this issue where I had this tab, and I created a new window, and I dragged this tab to this window, And then I opened up the browser content toolbox and I inspected tabs 0 doc shell current URI spec. Okay, what was it? But I went content, right. Tabs 0 was that. Tabs 1 doesn't exist. Okay. So, I'm not seeing the bug here. What about if I have this content tab selected? Basically, I saw this really strange, like, about, yeah. I saw, like, about print preview as a tab, and it didn't make any sense. So let's drag this back in here. Let's open up the content toolbox again. I have to keep reopening it because it attaches to the process that I'm on of the current tab. And I think I should be staying in the same process, but just in case. Yeah, that seems okay. And there's no other tabs. And what about this other process? Maybe it's no. What about this one? Very first tab. Huh. Very strange. And maybe, what if I drag out to a new tab? Let's see what happens if I do that. So drag out to, or a new window, and then I do the browser content toolbox, and then I do content, whoops, one. No, I can't reproduce the issue. I don't know how I got there. I'll have to look at the video again. Maybe we can look at it right now. That'd be a bit strange. Episode 145. Now, I think the episodes on Air Mozilla aren't streaming properly right now. On the old Air Mozilla, you get this like oops page because we're switching over to the new Air Mozilla. But there is the YouTube channel. Episode 145. Let's see what my SEO is on YouTube. Hey, pretty good. And I'm going to mute it so that you don't hear twice me talking. But I'm going to fast forward to the chunk where I think the bug appears, and we can take a look and see what I did. Let us pump up the quality a little bit. And can I full screen this? Oh, this is pretty strange. I think I'm wearing the same shirt. I have the same haircut. What? What? I can like mock myself. Boop, 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 that's me. Okay, so what was I doing? Let me back it up. Actually, let's unmute and listen. Let's listen in and see what I was talking about. This is my test image. I think I found it on Reddit one time. So if I'm going to open up the browser console, and if I look at this window in the browser console refers to the browser window that I open the browser console from. So that's the Firefox window in the background. I'm going to get at its outer window ID, and to do that, I actually have to do a little bit of like privileged JavaScript incantations here. I'm gonna get access to the. Fun fact: it's a lot easier to get at the outer window ID these days. You don't have to do all that query interfacing. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. So this incantation got me the ID of this window, and the ID is number 3. Great. So now I need to know whether or not this remote browser, because it's running in process 41536, here it comes, whether it thinks it's also in Chrome window 3. So now I'm going to open up the content toolbox. So I have the single tab, point at that image. I can get access to the first tab here and say, get me the Chrome outer window ID. And yes, it thinks it's in window 3, right there. 3, so that's good. Now the question is, will it survive
So then
swaps?
I open a new window.
So if I were to swap, like move this tab to a new window, what happens?
So
Let's
open a new
find out.
window.
So it still thinks it's in window 3. This new window over here, let's get its window ID. 32. For some reason, this window's ID is 32,
Very interesting.
and this one's 3. So now I'm going to move this
So then I
over
move
here.
the one tab to the new window.
So now the tab's over here, and now I'm going to
Then I open up the content
browser,
toolbox
content
again.
toolbox again.
Attached to this
Tabs
tab.
1,
I look at tabs 1.
outer Chrome, current URI.
This is where it gets funky.
And let's just make sure it's it's pointed where I think it is. Current URI. Doc shell. How do I get the current URI again? Or maybe instead of doc shell, I'll do a content location.
And that's when it happened. Right there.
About print preview? Where'd that come from? Okay, so let's go through the steps again of what I did. Sorry that took so long. We were watching myself. It probably seems like I'm quite narcissistic. I'm not. I'm trying to replay. I'm trying to get the steps again of what I did. So what I did was, I think, hang on, let me back up to the very beginning, because I think I have it all the way up, but the very first step was what? I'm gonna mute, and what did I do? I was explaining the patch, and then what did I do? Then I went to the console, I ran, and what happened was I restored a session where the single tab was pointing at my test image. Okay, so that I think I can do. Let's go to the test image and shut down the browser. Now if I start up the browser, I should restore automatically to that test image. Good. Okay. Now the thing that I did, so let's write this down. Create a session with a single window and tab pointed at such and such. Shut down the browser. Start the browser and restore session automatically, so we have a single tab pointed at that. Now, what I did was I created a new, hang on. I was chattering, and then I examined the outer window ID, and then I think what I did was I created a new window. Yeah, I Control-End, created a new window, and then I created a new tab, and then over here I dragged this tab over here. And then I opened up the content toolbox, and I went tabs 1, content location, and it doesn't have a location, so that it has no tabs 1. Interesting. Did I have E10S disabled at the time? I wonder if I had E10S disabled at the time. Except I was using the content toolbox. I had that spare one about print preview. I did have E10S enabled because then I did a memory dump and I had E10S enabled. And how many content processes did I have enabled? Main process. I've got a couple of content processes. So maybe this was just a wacky bug. This was episode 145. Let's try and reproduce this issue This was published on July 11th. Let's try a thing. Let's try and pull up a nightly from that day. I'm going to show you how we do that. July 11th. So here's how I pull up a nightly from that day. Mock, Moz regression, launch. And then I'm going to say, oh, I also want to restore the session that I just created. So I'm going to use a particular profile. Hang on, I got to find the directory name of my E10S testing profile. One sec. I can do that off screen just because I'm a paranoid. Okay, that's the directory. And I don't mind, I'm going to paste it in here anyways, but I didn't want you to see the other ones just in case. So Moz regression help. It's going to apparently rerun all of its setup stuff. I don't know why. That's annoying. All right. Moz regression help. And then I choose a profile with -p and then the path. Okay, so mock Moz regression. And then launch, I choose the day, July, what was it, July 11th. I'm going to choose this profile, and it's going to clone it. So it's downloading the nightly from that day, and it's going to try and, we're going to try and reproduce this issue. Because maybe the issue's gone, but I wanted to make sure that we investigate this, do our due diligence.
Okie dokie. Mamma mia!
Come on. All right, here we go. Well, hold on a second. That's not exactly what I wanted. I started the session poorly. But I do have, let's see if we can just recreate it. Not exactly with the same steps, but we'll do our best. So then I drag this over here, and then I do content toolbox. So what I should do is I should set up the profile again. I'm going to run E10S. I'm going to set up the profile so it's back at that initial state where we've got just the one tab. So shut down from here and then rerun cloning the profile. I got a bad feeling we're not going to be able to reproduce this. We shall see. Okay, I created a new tab. Then I opened a new tab, switched back, and then dragged this over here. Then I used content toolbox. Content. And I can't reproduce it. It's not reproducing. And it was the print preview tab. What could that have meant? If it, like, I can see that happening if I had, like, reader mode, if I'd used reader mode at some point. Maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to, like, use reader mode and then close reader mode, and it's like keeping a tab alive. Let's try this. I'll use reader mode, exit reader mode. Is there a hidden reader mode tab? There might be. That might explain it, that there's a hidden reader mode tab, and that this is all kind of according to plan. Oh, you were actually using tab. Well, okay, so Smurfd says I was using tab 0 content location. In the video, I used tab 1 though. I don't know why I used tab 1, but tab 1 I've been checking hasn't been defined. It's undefined, which makes sense because it's the only tab. It's supposed to be the only tab loaded. But let's see now. I've used reader mode on this tab, which would have created a print preview. The other thing is that we don't even support print preview on Mac OS. So like, why would there? The only case where we would have potentially opened up a print preview tab is for reader mode, because we kind of use the print preview infrastructure. Or even then, we don't use print preview at all. Why would we use? It doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. Let's see now. Tabs 1 doesn't exist. Tabs 2, like, they don't exist. Only tab 0 exists. And it's pointing at the right thing. So what uses about print preview? Let's look at that. About print preview. I think there's only one place where we use it. And that's in print preview. On Mac OS, we do not use print preview ever. And we're not even supposed to persist it. It shouldn't have been part of the original set of pages that was persisted to session store. So if I'd used it in a previous session and shut down, it shouldn't have saved, because we get rid of it there. Here we're just new get print preview. We get a print preview. I don't know. I don't know. If anyone knows how to reproduce this bug, do let me know. I think I'm gonna give up though. That was just a weird ghost. And don't know how to reproduce it. So let's move on. So there's this other bug. So we have this thing where we've been removing a bunch of XBL, which is our bindings, our proprietary, like, non-web standard bindings language that binds our markup to JavaScript to perform logic with that markup. And we've been slowly getting rid of it and transitioning over to either custom elements with using like the custom elements using like the shadow DOM and stuff, because that's starting to become more and more available. And then we've also been transitioning to, sometimes it's just you need a JavaScript class to do certain things, or a JavaScript object to hold some state. And sometimes we don't need the bindings at all. We just use some other mechanism. But what we did here is in bug 1442582, we got rid of a binding. And that binding was doing this thing where it's the tab panels binding. So the thing that manages, or that was listening for click events in the tab strip, so that it knows to like fire certain events and actually cause the tabs to switch. And we were calling request tab before emitting the select event, and they wanted to simplify things by having us call request tab at the start of the select event. And for some reason that causes some tests to fail, and we're not sure why. So what they ended up doing was they wrote a workaround that fires a pre-select event where they call request tab, and then firing the select event. So I want to figure out, the goal of this bug, working on this bug is, I'll write this down. Question: how come we get failing tests when, and I can be a little more specific. There's one test in particular I've drilled down to. I kind of got my beast mode machine ready with this this morning. What? Did my machine restart? What happened? I think my machine restarted. Hopefully the compilation finished. Let's build again just in case. But there's a test in this. I applied a patch. Whoops. I shouldn't have used HGDiff. Oh, Mercurial. HG export. So there's this test down here. Browser pop-up notification keyboard. This is the one. This is one of them that's failing. And I figure if we can fix one, chances are they're somewhat related to one another. So let's try focusing on this one. How come? So let's make this a little more precise. How come this test? And I'll pump up the font. How come such and such test fails when we fire the select? When we call request tab at the start of the select event. So here's what we know. We're failing because, let's see, I had this also failing locally. While we wait for this, oh, it's done. Okay, so I can show you. If I run that test, mock, oh, you can't see the bottom. Here we go. Mock Moki test, and then I pass in that path. If I run that test, and I have to hand it a display, so that means I also have to start up a display VNC server. Good. Okay, so display equals 1. So this should fail. And unfortunately, it's a debug build, so this is gonna take a second. But what's failing is the browser isn't. We are expecting at some point for the browser element on the page to be focused, and for some reason, it's not focusing. And because that's what the test is testing at. I can actually pull up the test and show you. Here, whoopsie daisy, right here, we're expecting that the focused element is the browser, and for some reason, it's not. It's not the focused element. And I'm seeing the attempt to focus the browser, but that attempt is failing. The browser is not actually being focused when we're trying to focus it. So it must not be focusable, and now I want to find out why. So the good news is, yeah, and here's the failure. So we're failing in debug mode as well, which is great. I'll just move up so you can see that. Fail, undefined assertion name, got null when we expected object Zool frame on line 1308, and that's referring to line 198 inside the test, and that's here. The comparison is this browser, the focused element, the browser element. So we're failing in the right place, and we are doing it in a debug build. This is great news because I can rerun this in RR, and I've prepared the build so that it calls math.sign just before it attempts and fails to call the set focus on the browser. So I can set a breakpoint for math.sign and then immediately start walking through this focus call at the point where I care about it. Because we're going to be focusing all over the place, I only want this focus call to be the one that I detect and start walking through. So we can do that with RR, and I'm going to do that right now. So I say mock, Moki test, all this stuff. This is probably kind of hard to see because my body's in the way. I just like dodge around here. I'm saying --debugger RR. That's what I say. Hopefully you can piece some of that together. But when I do that, it's going to rerun the test, but it's going to use RR to record the execution. And then I can replay it and inspect it and deep dive and go and do some back and forwards, some time travel debugging. So while we're waiting for this to complete, I want to point out something. Time travel debugging is awesome. And if you're not familiar with time travel debugging, you should check it out. An RR project is, if you write C or C++, RR is like a cheat code. I highly recommend checking this out and trying it on your project to like debug things. So it's been used to record and replay all sorts of things like Firefox, Chrome, QEMU, LibreOffice. Apparently programs written in Go as well. What? Or maybe it's programs that play Go. I'm not entirely certain. But it's very, very handy. And that's great if you're writing in native code. But what if you're writing in JavaScript? What about time travel debugging for JavaScript? Well, guess what? We have something coming along called Web Replay. which allows you to do time travel JavaScript debugging. And this is something that's available right now in Nightly. If you enable it, you have to flip a pref. You can enable time travel debugging on Mac OS only right now, because we have to, there's some platform specific stuff with how we do interprocess communication and record that and replay it. But if you have Mac OS, you can on Nightly right now, if you flip a pref, do time travel JavaScript debugging. And I want to show you an animated GIF of that. Digitarald. Time travel debugging. This is the thing to check out. This GIF, I'm not going to play it for you, but you can go check it out. Let me put it in the notes here. Quick plug. JS time travel debugging, aka Project DeLorean, aka Web Replay. Check that out. It's pretty cool. I actually will press play. It's only 45 seconds long, and we're still waiting for this trace to complete. So he's like, this is a React app or something, and then they're jumping to that point in the execution, that log message, and he can jump backwards and forwards, and then inspect in the debugger and step forwards and backwards during the trace, which is pretty great. Okay, we've gotten the expected test failure in RR, so we're pretty close. We just have to wait for it to close out. But that's pretty excellent. You've got time travel debugging coming for JavaScript. It's currently only for Mac OS right now, but new stuff is coming soon, or like the other platforms are coming soon. So just be patient. I think Windows is next. If you want to help out, you might, I don't know what sort of contribution opportunities there are here, but I can find the meta bug if you want to track progress. Bug web replay v2. This was the bug that landed to allow web replay to work on Mac OS, and it's blocking web replay initial landing, which blocks support media elements, support audio, web audio, support WebRTC, web replay Windows ports right here. So you should check this out. It just needs a little bit of love here, but maybe pay attention to this. I'm going to start following this bug. Windows support. And what's the pref? The pref to enable web replay? Let me see if I can find it. Pref. Dev tools record replay enabled. This is the pref. So if you flip that to true and restart the browser on Mac OS, you should be able to do time travel debugging. Now we'll put that in mono. Cool. All right, so are we done here with our recording? Almost. It's just taking forever because it's a debug build, and we have to do like leak checking and stuff on shutdown. Yay, it's almost done. It's just some activity. Great. And the reason I have to do this on a debug build is because if I do it on an opt build, so much stuff has been optimized that navigating GDB and debugging in GDB becomes a real pain. So we have our trace. Let's attach. We'll do RR replay. I'm going to pump up the font again. RR replay. And then we're going to break on JS math sign. That's so that we can attach here when that's called in JavaScript. That's a little hack that us Gecko developers use to cause our native debuggers to kick in when certain JavaScript executes. There are other ways of doing that too. Like you can actually tell, there's like an API to cause the native program to halt at a breakpoint, but that involves like some query interface stuff that I didn't want to do. So this is cheaper and faster.
Hey, what happened?
So we're executing. Hopefully we can hit our breakpoint soon. Do. Getting there. Just starting some threads. In the meantime, hey, you viewers out there who are watching, I have episode 150 coming up. We're at episode 147, so only 3 episodes away. It's going to be sometime probably in September, mid-September or something, or early September, assuming I don't go on holiday at some point. I might, actually. I think next Wednesday I'm on holiday. Yeah, let me put that as a bullet point. Not going to be streaming next week. But the reason I bring this up is I don't know what to do. I feel like 150 is a special time. It is a landmark episode, I guess. And maybe you have some ideas on some things I could do. So if you have ideas, let me know in the episode rating thing here. Give me some ideas. You don't even have to rate the episode. You can just go to this form and just put in nonsense here. I don't really care. But maybe in one of these fields, you can give me an idea on what I can do for episode 150. A couple of ideas. And episode 150. Got ideas? Submit them in the episode rating form. Some ideas to get you going. Someone suggested, I think it was Beach Jar suggested I do like an AMA or of some kind. Like I just answer questions from viewers. Maybe I could work on some kind of user voted bug like I did for episode 100. Although we were running out of time, I'd only have 2 episodes to do voting. What else could I do? We could I could try build something from scratch, build a web extension to do something from scratch. That's sort of what I did with episode 100. But maybe we could build something special. Let's see, what else could I do? I could try and explore some other Mozilla project. I could explore a non-Mozilla project and try to understand it. I could just explain some part of the code base. Send me your ideas, because, I don't know. You tell me. What should I do for or just do a normal episode? Maybe I should just do a normal episode. And just wear a funny hat. But wear a funny hat. Let me know. What should I do? Whew, boy. Still haven't hit our breakpoint yet. Really waiting for that to occur. That's one of the problems with debug builds. Or maybe I should have just disabled optimization but not used debug. I don't know. But it's eating up a bit of time, and that's not great. While we're waiting, I wanted to let you know that I've started to transition myself over to a new microblogging platform. If you've traditionally I've been pretty active on Twitter. These days I'm starting to transition myself over to a new microblogging platform called Mastodon. Mastodon is a distributed, federated microblogging platform. It's a bit like email in that you can sign up for an email address from a bunch of different providers, and similarly you can sign up for a Mastodon account on any number of Mastodon providers. I have one at mastodon.social. I was able to get M. Conley at mastodon.social. You can follow me there, and you don't have to be on the mastodon.social instance in order to follow me. They're all they communicate with one another, the different instances. So you can follow me here. You can see I'm tweeting about Mozilla stuff there, or tooting rather. Mastodon uses the idiom, for better or worse, of tooting. So I'm tooting about Mozilla stuff, and you can follow me at this address. Even if you're not on the mastodon.social instance, if you're at some other special Mastodon instance, you can follow me at mastodon.social at Mike Conley. Apparently, you can also host your own Mastodon. Mastodon hosting masto.host. So if you go here, you can like host your own instance and set your own rules on who can connect and like what sort of what sort of rules you want on your instance, and then it can communicate with all the other Mastodon instances. So you should check that out. Okay, we hit our breakpoint finally. Holy smokes, that took forever. When are we? We're at event 463197. Great. Okay. So now I'm gonna set a breakpoint on NS, not frame loader, focus manager. Set focus. And boom, we hit it. That's great. Now I can actually, there's this thing I can do. I think it's Control X, Control A, Control A. No, Control AX. There's a way to be able to like, in GDB you can like show the code above the console. GDB show code. It's like Control X, split view, Control X, Control A, Control X, Control A. Nope, nope, that's not what I want to do. Yo-boo. It's called TUI. Right, GDB start TUI. How do you do it? Control X, Control A. Is it capital X? No, it's lowercase. The thing is, I've got Byobu enabled, and I wonder if that confuses it. And start TUI screen. This is TUI mode and start TUI tmux. GDB TUI inside tmux. Oh man, there was a way of doing this. I don't remember how to do it. Shoot. There was a way I could do like Control XO. Oh, there it is. Control XO. That's, I don't know why it was Control XO, but now it's Control XO. That's what I wanted. Okay, so now I can see where I am at my breakpoint, and I'm going to step forward, and I'm going to step into set focus inner. This is way better than kind of running blind like you normally do in GDB. Control XO. So let's see if the element is focusable. Is element to focus? No, so we failed to be focusable. The browser is not focusable for some reason. So I'm going to reverse next. We're going to go back up. And we're going to step into check if focusable to find out why. You know, what happened whenever we were trying to focus. Just work backwards. Okay, so we're going to step into check if focusable. So we do have an element. I don't think we redirect focus. We flush to see if we're focusable. Get the pres context, get the primary frame. We see if it's an area, no. We see if it is a child frame. It is not, so then we call into the frame, we say, are you focusable? We ask the frame itself. All right. And it starts by saying is focusable equals false, and then we are, whoa, we're evaluating all this stuff, and I have a feeling, how do I page down? Oh man, all right, let's look at this code inside my editor where it might be easier to navigate. I don't really know TUI all that well. Let's look at it inside the browser. So it's not that long, and is focusable is the thing that we're going to be returning, and this is in one place where we'll set it to true, and the other place is here. we'll call the content and see if it's focusable. So hopefully we either enter here or we enter here, but I'm guessing we won't because we know that this returns false. So either this returns false or this never gets entered. So we're going to find out which one it is. So we're going to next. Aha! So we never entered this block. We never entered this block. We skipped over the whole thing. We never even had a chance. Now, why is that? Let's go back. Let's go back and find out. First, next. We'll start right from the beginning. So you see how this is kind of like cheating. Like I'm at the scene of the crime. We're in the scene of the crime, and we have all the information we need. We can step through and start talking to all of the suspects, and they have to tell us the truth, or hopefully they'll tell us the truth. Sometimes, believe it or not, they lie. There's an interesting blog post if you're curious about how sometimes the memory will lie to you. I just read about this today. Diagnosing a weak memory ordering bug. This sounds terrifying. If you're interested in reading about that, a weak memory ordering bug blog post. All right, so here we are in RR again. What is M content? Is it defined? Yes, it is. And is it an element? Yes. So that evaluates to true and that evaluates to true. And I'm going to see if is visible considering ancestors is true. Too few arguments in function call. What? Is visible considering ancestors. I don't see. Maybe there's some default args that I need to be passing. As I frame the flags, there are flags I'm supposed to be passing. Flags 0. So default flag is 0, so that's what I'll pass. False. That's the problem. We're not visible considering ancestors. So let's write that down. We don't know why yet. We're failing because is visible considering ancestors is not true in this code that checks to see if the browser that we're attempting to focus is visible. Okay. So we'll refer to that here. This code. I'm referring to this code. Why? Okay, so now the question becomes, why isn't the browser visible? Let's make this a little more dramatic. We'll bold a couple things. Why isn't the browser visible? That's a great question. Let's see if we can find out. Style. Computed style. Get display. What is this thing? If I look at this computed style. NSI frame computed style. What is that? Is that a thing that I can inspect? Computed style. Background image resolve. I want to know if style struct. Let's get the right cache. These look like getter functions for each style struct. Good. Okay, so define style struct, includes style struct list, ns style, this thing. ns style, font, color, I want display, style struct reset. Style. Let's see if I can find some usage. Frame style oh, there's something called style display on the frame. Aha, and what happens if I look at it? Bunch of stuff. Inline. Appearance, there's no appearance, but is inline. So it's not display none, it's display inline. That's good. So let's find out if we can find, let's see if we can find out why it's not visible. Is it because oh, is it because the deck hasn't flipped yet? Because the deck has not flipped yet, the browser's not visible and therefore cannot be focused. That's what I think's going on. Okay, hypothesis time. Hypothesis. The deck containing the browser hasn't flipped by the time the select event fires. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense because we're moving the request tab to, or where are we? Like if what is the JS we're at? Call dump JS stack. Where are we? Oh, that's been annoying. But we are, oh boy. That's kind of hard. We add the tab, open new foreground tab in tab browser selected tab, testing common. We open the tab. You know what? I don't think we're at the point where we actually care about just yet. I think we should continue. I think there's another focusing browser we need to wait for. Sorry about the delay, but I think we haven't reached the point in the test that we care about. Still, I guess it's the same question though. How come I think I've really screwed up my terminal here, by the way. How come it's not visible? When is the select event fired? If we look at tabbox.xml, the select event is fired right after we set the attribute to a certain value. The selected panel set the selected index, selected index. Setter, pre-select, and a tab panels. If we look at a tab box.css, tab panels, in .css, tab panels is transparent, and we want to look inside, like the definition inside Zool. Tab panels is of display Moz deck, and a Moz deck is defined inside as deck frame, where after we change the attribute, the index is changed, we invalidate unsure. So we hit our breakpoint again. Let's see if we can see where we are in our JavaScript. We're at line 184 of the test, which is this thing. So we're not quite there yet. We want to do it. Oh, wait, no. We do want to ensure that this had never focused. I think. Wait. Content document focus. So yeah, we're at the same point again. Okay. So step inside there. Step inside there. It's the same deal as before. We're going to step inside here. So we're gonna. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set a breakpoint inside is visible considering ancestors, and then we're going to work our way up. Is the visibility visible? Yes, we are apparently styled to be visible, and now we're going to work our way up. So we work our way up our frame tree so we're going to get our view, we get our parent, we check to see if it's a deck. If it's a deck, we work our way up. At some point, I have a feeling we're going to find a deck. Aha! We found a deck. And the selected box, deck, get selected box, is that frame. And that is not the same as this frame. So the selected box, the deck hasn't changed. And if I look at deck, get selected box, is we look at the index, frame at index. I'm going to break at ns deck frame get selected box. Oh, PM index is 3. TM. So the index is 3. I don't even remember what the that means, but the frame of the browser, so I was correct. The frame answer, apparently the deck is not showing the browser that we're attempting to focus. So why isn't the deck showing the right browser yet? Answer, don't know. Let's find out. When is the deck selected? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say break on NS deck frame attribute changed if this equals I'm going to continue. Disable 3, disable 4. Okay, a bunch of nonsense coming up in my terminal. Just if you're curious about why this is so broken, I suspect it's because I'm using the TUI interface inside Byobu. Byobu being like a tmux thing or a screen thing. I have a feeling they're not playing well together. So I'm not actually seeing the deck update the way I would have expected by now. If I see the test failure occurring, I'm going to pause and I'm going to work my way backwards. I don't see the failure yet. Message showing notification. We're setting focus again. I'm going to disable 2. Wait, what's setting focus? What is setting focus? On pop-up hidden at pop-up XML 118. If not current focus, try to restore focus. If documents do focus, where's do focus? Do focus is set focus to the previous focus being current focus, previous focus. We get the focused element when we're showing the pop-up. And if the previous focus so this should be a no-op because it should already be focused in the good case, but it's not. So I actually don't think the deck flip should have completed by now. So I'm going to actually reverse. I'm going to reverse continue for a bit. See if we can find where the deck is going to be updated. I also am going to stop in the next 8 minutes, but we are making some good headway here. Just going to reverse continue, see what happens. Hopefully we get that deck being updated. Or maybe you know what I should do? is I will set a breakpoint, and no matter what, anytime a deck is updated, we'll update the deck. Yeah. Break NS deck frame attribute changed. And we'll continue. So non-conditional. See what happens. I gotta stop in like 5 minutes, so hopefully we can get an answer here. So hold on a second. Let's look at the order of events again. Before, we were firing pre-select. It's this thing, setting the selected attribute over here. We were calling request tab, passing in and that updates the, hold on a second. Let's go back to the bug. Let's take a look at the original landing. They got rid of this code that so they're setting the selected index, selected panel. Only here were we setting selected index here. I wonder, has that affected like tab switch spinners? I hope not. Not really, so that's good. Good. But now we are setting the selected index. Here we set the selected panel, and then we set the attribute selected index. And before we weren't doing that. I have a feeling the async tab switcher was doing that for us. Yeah, set attribute selected index. And that's, I think, part of the issue. Where hang on a second. We get the related element, so we find the browser. Before, what we were doing was you find the browser for the child node that we're selecting to, and then we request it. It. What happens if I disable tab warming for a sec? No flashes, that's good. it's so weird that, like, before we weren't setting the selected index until later. The selected index is kind of special because in the deck frame, if the index is changed, then we go into here, we invalidate the frame and cause a redraw to occur. Invalidate the frame. Or at least we schedule ourselves to be redrawn. And then we hide the currently showing box. We hide it. And then get the selected box here. When we build the display list and we get here, we get the display list for children, we get the selected box. All right, my alarm just went off. I'm gonna have to stop soon, but I think we're a little closer. Do Zool layout. Do normal layout. Run through each child. Hide all but the selected one. So what were we focusing before? Like the tab switch starts, we'd request the tab, nothing would focus, focus would not shift. At least I don't think. Until after. In request tab, we decide to show the tab, then we would adjust the focus. And then we, hang on a second. We would adjust after the tab switch, after setting the attribute. We would adjust focus after to select the browser. Just focus after tab switch occurs here. This is the part that attempts to set the focus again. Don't focus the content area if something has been focused after the tab switch was initiated. Could we accidentally be skipping out of this? All right, I'm gonna have to dig into this a bit more, but I think we're starting. We know part of the answer. The reason we can't focus is that the browser that we were attempting to focus, by the time the select fires, isn't visible. It's gone into the background. But why are we attempting to focus the backgrounded browser? That's the question. That's what I want to know. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, but if you're curious to know the answer, I'm going to keep digging. You can check out the what the results of this investigation will be by following this bug, 1478112. The link is in the agenda. Hey, and that's it. Thank you so much for watching episode 147 of The Joy of Coding. I hope that was interesting. Just a quick reminder, I am not streaming next week. It is, I'm taking the day off due to, I have a celebration occurring and I'm not going to be around. So have a great week next week, and I'll see you the week after with episode 148. Don't forget to rate the episode. So right here, rate the episode. Let me know what you thought, and also let me know if you have any ideas for episode 150. I'm all ears. I want to hear about it. So that's it. Thanks again. Have yourselves a great couple weeks, and I'll see you the week after next. Take care. Bye-bye. Hold on. Nick.
The joy of coding.
See ya.